Hey, what's up, guys? This is Technical Tim here, and I'm gonna quickly just kind of talk about the Michael Johnson and Josh Emmett fight coming up next Saturday at UFC Philadelphia. And just to kind of start off, I think it's a stay away fight. I think this is the definition of a stay away fight and not worth sweating. We know all their games, so I'm not going to get into that. But I'm going to talk about kind of two things here, and each thing gives an advantage to one guy. So it kind of makes it like, it kind of just makes it a pretty close fight, in my opinion. So I think Michael Johnson is the better striker here. And he has and the numbers can get skewed on this one. Striking statistics can be very useful, but you need to know when to adjust. That's the key. And they have similar output. I think Michael Johnson's is a little bit higher. I think he's like 4.1 strikes per minute, and Josh Emmett's like barely below that, maybe 3.9. I can't remember the exact numbers, but it's like close, with MJ just being a hair ahead. And the striking differential is pretty close too. They both have positive striking differentials, but it's like not a huge difference. It's almost at parity. But the thing is, I think these fight metric numbers are skewed because whenever it's a strictly striking fight, MJ tends to usually like almost double people up, and he throws a lot more volume. And the numbers kind of get skewed on how much he gets hit, because one of the fights was a 3-round fight versus Khabib where he got finished, where he got battered with punches and they were all on the ground. So I think he got outstruck that fight like 96 to like 9. It was a wash. It was just a beatdown. And that has nothing to do with the actual striking differential when these guys go on the feet. So I think when they're actually on the feet, the numbers are a little bit skewed here. And I think that kind of just skews Michael Johnson's actual strike differential. I think it's a little better. And the only other time he really got outstruck was against Nate Diaz. And he's a long, rangy, high output fighter. And that's not the type of fighter Josh Emmett is. He's not going to use real long punches where he can kind of sting. He can kind of just like outpace Michael Johnson. So I think those two fights, Nate Diaz and Khabib, because Khabib was just on the ground and Nate Diaz was just a much different prototype type of striker, I think you can kind of just throw those out when comparing this matchup. So I tend to edge MJ on the feet, and not just from a numbers standpoint, adjusting like I just did, but I also think he's just a little bit faster. He throws a little more kick variety, low kicks. I think he'll score more. And when it's strictly just like a 3-round kickboxing match, he throws a lot. And I tend to think he will land more strikes on the feet here and have an advantage here. So if this is just like a 3-round kickboxing fight, I expect MJ to win. Not saying Emmett's incapable of winning a 3-round kickboxing fight, because he's got some pop and he can hang with the volume, I think. But I just think eventually, if they fought that fight 100 times on the feet, I would lean MJ. But the other thing, and the reason why I don't want to play MJ, is, we know MJ can't wrestle all that well. He's got good first layer takedown defense, but Josh Emmett, it's kind of a wild card whether or not he's going to wrestle. Sometimes he'll have fights where he'll kind of just kickbox and mix in a couple takedown attempts here and there. And if that's the case, I expect MJ to be able to stop just a couple just spot takedown attempts, because he does have decent first layer takedown defense. But the Scott Holtzman fight and Josh Emmett was the fight where Josh Emmett he blanketed him. And if he fights like that, he's going to win this fight, I think. MJ has struggled in the past stopping shots when there's persistency in the shots, where Josh Emmett showed he's capable of doing that, but he doesn't do it enough for us to know what he's going to do. So it's hard to predict how Josh Emmett will approach this fight, whether or not he's going to just shoot a few takedowns like he usually actually does, or really go for the takedowns, which I could see him doing. Because, his teammate, Darren Elkins, I think they're both alpha male guys, had success by kind of shooting a lot of takedowns on MJ. So I think if he's persistent and he fights the Scott Holtzman game plan, I think he'll beat MJ. And MJ tends to, his takedown defense, the reason why I think it would work if Josh Emmett is persistent is MJ really has issues whenever you're persistent, like I said earlier, and you mix up different takedowns. Not just, he can stop if you're just doing like a double leg or something, but whenever you shoot a single and then a double leg and then a body lock, and you drive him up against the cage and kind of make him work, and then you shoot down from the double when you're up against the cage. I've seen Josh Emmett do all that. So I think if he just is persistent, he'll start taking him down. I mean, the guy held down Scott Holtzman, or took down Scott Holtzman 8 times, and they were good takedowns. Like, he mixes it up well. And I'm assuming Josh Emmett, I don't know his credentials or anything. I'm assuming he had to have wrestled growing up, like in high school or Little League or something. I can just tell the tightness to his technique and the maneuvers he uses. It's not just like a double leg. It's just not a guy who's an MMA fighter who randomly kind of picked up wrestling as he started MMA. I can tell he wrestled. I'm guessing he wrestled in college too. Maybe not like D1 level, but yeah, he mixes up takedowns well, and I think that is where it could really give MJ some issues. And MJ doesn't have the greatest get-up game. You can tell he's starting to use like a half guard to an underhook and trying to get back to his feet. He tried that on Andre Fili, but it wasn't really good. And so I could see him stopping some takedowns here and there, but if Emmett just is persistent, I think he'll get it with the takedown variety and the persistency. And another reason why, even though Josh Emmett didn't show the best top control against Scott Holtzman, what scares me is if he takes MJ down, and I was on MJ, you can put hooks in on him really, really easily. And Emmett can he put hooks in on Scott Holtzman. He's not the best back control taker with hooks, but it doesn't take much to control MJ there. Andre Fili did it, and who is the other fighter? Darren Elkins as well. And Darren Elkins has a much better top game than Emmett, but if this is just kind of a close fight and Emmett mixes in takedowns, he'll probably get enough top time to maybe edge on the scorecards. Emmett's not that much of a submission threat. He doesn't have any in the UFC or against legit competition, but I could see him. I don't know. It doesn't take much to sub MJ either, but because of the unknown of whether or not Emmett is gonna really step up with a wrestling heavy game plan here, I think it's just not worth playing either guy. I think this is a close fight. I would maybe favor MJ, but that's only because Emmett doesn't always choose to wrestle. But if he chooses to wrestle, I think Emmett can win this fight. So I don't think it's worth the sweat, similar to Moffitt and Mitchell last week. And yeah, if you have any questions, comment below. Follow me on Twitter. I'm going to be posting my picks on my Bet MMA page. That's in the description box of this video. You can buy the rest of my picks throughout the week, and I'll trickle out some videos throughout the week. And if you guys have a fight you specifically want to be broken down, just let me know, and I'll try to get them all out. I try to be very responsive to you guys. So thanks. Bye.